How many times have people told you that you can't do something? How many times have they laughed at your dreams, doubted your abilities, and made you feel like you weren't enough? Maybe it was a teacher, a boss, a so-called friend, or even your own family. They looked you in the eyes and said, "You'll never make it. You're not smart enough. You're not talented enough. You don't have what it takes." And you believed them. You let their words sink in. You let their doubt become your doubt. But what if I told you that every single person who has ever succeeded in life has heard those same words? Every champion, every millionaire, every game changer was once told they weren't good enough. The difference? They didn't accept it. They didn't let those voices define them. They used that doubt as fuel. They turned every "you can't" into "watch me." Listen to me right now. If you're waiting for permission to chase your dreams, here it is. If you're waiting for someone to tell you that you can do it, I'm telling you now, you can. But no one's coming to do it for you. No one's coming to save you. If you want to prove them wrong, if you want to change your life, you have to take action, and you have to do it now. Decide to stop playing small. Most people go through life settling for less than they are capable of, not because they lack ability, but because they've been conditioned to believe that playing it safe is the only way. They shrink their dreams, lower their expectations, and accept mediocrity as if it's the best they can do. But deep down, they know there's more. There's a fire inside them that whispers, "You're meant for something bigger." The problem is they ignore it. They let fear dictate their choices. They allow the opinions of others to shape their reality. They convince themselves that staying comfortable is the key to happiness. But in reality, comfort is the biggest enemy of growth. Playing small means avoiding challenges, shying away from opportunities, and letting fear of failure control your actions. It's saying, "I'll just stay where I am because at least I know what to expect." But that mindset is what keeps people stuck. Nothing extraordinary ever happens in the comfort zone. The most successful people in the world weren't necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They were the ones who refused to accept an average life. They took risks, stepped into uncertainty, and bet on themselves. They weren't fearless, but they acted in spite of their fear. When you decide to stop playing small, you make a conscious choice to step into your power. You stop waiting for permission. You stop holding back. You start setting bigger goals, pushing past limits, and demanding more from yourself. This doesn't mean you won't face challenges. In fact, the moment you decide to go all in on yourself, the resistance will show up. The fear, the doubt, the setbacks, they'll all try to knock you down. But instead of letting them define you, you use them as fuel. You let every challenge sharpen your skills, every failure teach you something, and every obstacle strengthen your determination. One of the biggest reasons people continue playing small is because they worry about what others will think. They don't want to be judged. They don't want to stand out too much. They fear criticism. But here's the truth. No matter what you do, people will always have opinions. If you stay small, they'll say you're wasting your potential. If you go big, they'll say you're too ambitious. Either way, you can't please everyone, so why not go after what you truly want? Why not show up fully and unapologetically as the person you were meant to be? The moment you make the decision to stop playing small, everything changes. You start seeing opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You stop making excuses and start making progress. You refuse to settle for good enough and instead demand excellence from yourself. You recognize that life isn't about surviving, and the only way to truly thrive is to step into the fullness of who you are, to chase your biggest dreams with everything you've got, and to never let fear keep you from taking action. Ignore the doubters and naysayers. The moment you decide to go after something big, there will be people who doubt you. They'll tell you it's impossible, that you're not capable, that you should be more realistic, and if you're not careful, you'll start believing them. You'll start questioning yourself, wondering if maybe they're right, if maybe you're reaching too high. But let's be clear, the doubters aren't speaking truth, they're speaking fear. Most of the time, people who doubt you aren't doing it because they want to see you fail. They do it because they can't see themselves doing what you're trying to do. They're projecting their own insecurities onto you. They've convinced themselves that success is only for a certain type of person, and because they don't believe they can achieve it, they assume you can't either. But their fear is not your reality. Their limitations are not your limitations. Some doubters will disguise their negativity as concern. They'll say things like, "I just don't want you to get your hopes up," or "I'm only looking out for you." But what they're really doing is trying to keep you within the boundaries of what makes them comfortable. They don't want you to grow because if you do, it forces them to question why they haven't. It's easier for them to keep you at their level than to face the fact that they've settled for less. Then there are the outright naysayers, the ones who criticize, mock, and try to tear you down. These people thrive on negativity. They love pointing out flaws, predicting failure, and undermining success. Why? Because seeing others win reminds them of their own lack of action. Instead of doing the work to improve their own lives, they'd rather bring others down to their level. But here's the key. You don't owe them your energy. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to prove something to the doubters. They waste time arguing, defending themselves, and seeking approval from people who will never give it. But success isn't about proving them wrong with words. It's about proving them wrong with results. The best response to doubt is action. The best revenge is undeniable success. Think about every great success story. There was always someone who doubted them. Every champion, every innovator, every leader, at some point, they were told they couldn't do it. And yet, they did. Not because they were special, but because they refused to let anyone else dictate their destiny. They knew that opinions don't determine outcomes. Action does. So let them doubt, let them talk, let them say whatever they want. While they waste their energy on negativity, you'll be using yours to build something incredible. And one day, when you've achieved everything they said you couldn't, they'll look back and realize they were wrong. But by then it won't even matter because you'll be too busy living the life you always knew was possible. Their limitations are not your limitations. People will always try to put limits on you, not because they truly know what you're capable of, but because they can only see the world through their own lens. They will tell you what's possible based on what they've experienced, what they've been taught, and what they believe about themselves. But their limitations do not apply to you unless you accept them. From a young age, society, culture, and even well-meaning family members condition people to think small. They say things like, be realistic, don't aim too high, or that's just not how life works. They do this not because they want to hold you back, but because they have already accepted limitations in their own lives. They assume that if something wasn't possible for them, it won't be possible for you either. But that's not your truth. Just because they see a wall doesn't mean it's real. Just because they believe something is impossible doesn't mean it is. The world has never been changed by people who accepted the limits given to them. Every breakthrough, every innovation, every revolution came from someone who refused to accept what others said was possible. The greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, and leaders all had people tell them they would never make it. They all faced skepticism, criticism, and rejection. But they didn't let someone else's fears dictate their actions. They didn't let someone else's failure become their fate. When someone tells you that you can't do something, it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. They are speaking from their own experiences, their own self-doubt, their own insecurities. Maybe they once had a dream and gave up on it. Maybe they tried and failed, and now they assume failure is the only outcome. But their past does not define your future. Their beliefs do not shape your destiny. The only thing that matters is what you believe. If you let the limitations of others dictate what you pursue, you will never reach your full potential. You will always be living within someone else's boundaries, following someone else's script. But the moment you realize that their limits are not your limits, everything changes. You start setting your own standards. You stop accepting the idea that this is just the way things are. You start asking, what if and why not me? Every time you feel doubt creeping in, ask yourself, whose voice is this? Is it yours, or is it something you picked up from someone else? Are you limiting yourself based on someone else's fears? Once you recognize that those limits aren't real, you gain the power to break through them. You realize that what's possible isn't determined by someone else's opinion. It's determined by your willingness to do whatever it takes. You have unstoppable potential. There is something inside you, something powerful, something relentless. It's the reason you feel that pull toward more. It's the reason you know deep down that you're meant for something bigger. But most people never tap into that power. Not because they don't have it, but because they don't believe in it. They underestimate themselves. They let fear, doubt, and past failures cloud their vision. They forget that every single person who has ever achieved something great started exactly where they are. Unsure, unproven, uncertain. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't talent. It's not luck. It's not having the perfect plan. It's mindset. It's the ability to keep going when things get hard. It's the refusal to quit when obstacles show up. It's the decision to see failure as a lesson instead of a stopping point. You have the potential to do things you haven't even imagined yet. Your mind is capable of learning, adapting, and creating at a level far beyond what you've been led to believe. Your body is stronger than you think. Your resilience is deeper than you realize. But you will never discover any of this if you don't push yourself beyond where you are now. If you only do what you're comfortable with, you'll never know what you're truly capable of. The most powerful thing you can do is act in spite of fear. To take the step even when you don't feel ready. To trust that your ability to figure things out is greater than any obstacle in front of you. That is how you tap into your potential. Not by waiting for the perfect time, not by waiting to feel confident, but by taking action over and over until you become unstoppable. Think about every skill you have right now. At one point, you weren't good at it. At one point, you didn't know how to do it, but you figured it out, you practiced, you kept going. That's the same process for anything in life. No one starts as an expert. No one starts with all the answers. The people who achieve greatness are just the ones who refuse to stop. Your potential isn't determined by where you came from, what your past looks like, or what other people think about you. It's determined by your willingness to push forward, to grow, to adapt, and to refuse to accept anything less than the best version of yourself. The only thing standing between you and your full potential is the decision to step into it. Nobody is coming to save you. Take action. There's a harsh truth that most people don't want to hear, but once you understand it, it will set you free. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to hand you success. Nobody is going to suddenly appear and fix your problems. If you want something in life, you have to take full responsibility for making it happen. That means no more waiting, no more hoping, no more relying on external circumstances to change before you do. It means recognizing that your future is 100% in your hands. So many people go through life waiting. They wait for the perfect opportunity. They wait for the right time. They wait until they feel ready. But the truth is, there is no perfect moment. There is no right time. If you keep waiting, you'll be waiting forever. The people who create extraordinary lives aren't the ones who waited for the stars to align. They're the ones who took action, even when they weren't sure, even when they weren't ready, even when the odds were against them. Taking action means doing what needs to be done no matter how you feel. Most people only take action when they're motivated. They wait for inspiration to strike before they move. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. If you only act when you feel good, you'll never build consistency. The most successful people in the world aren't driven by motivation. They're driven by discipline. They do what needs to be done, whether they feel like it or not. It's easy to blame circumstances. It's easy to say, I have the right connections, I don't have enough money, or I wasn't given the same opportunities as others, but every excuse you make gives away your power. It places responsibility outside of yourself. The moment you stop making excuses and start taking ownership of your actions, everything changes. You stop feeling helpless. You stop feeling stuck. You realize that no matter where you are right now, you have the power to change your situation. Some people spend their entire lives waiting for permission. They wait for someone to tell them they're good enough, smart enough, capable enough. But nobody is coming to give you permission. Nobody is coming to say, now is your time. If you want something, you have to claim it. You have to step up and decide that you're worthy of it. The world isn't going to hand you opportunities. You have to create them. Fear stops most people from taking action. They're afraid of failure, afraid of judgment, afraid of making the wrong choice. But the worst choice you can make is to do nothing. Every step forward, no matter how small, moves you closer to your goals. Every action you take builds momentum. Even if you fail, you learn. Even if you stumble, you grow. The only way to truly fail is to stay stuck. No one is coming to do it for you. No one is going to fight your battles. No one is going to put in the work on your behalf. It's up to you to show up, to push forward, to keep going even when it's hard. The moment you take full responsibility for your success is the moment you take control of your life. Hard work and resilience beat talent. Most people think success comes down to talent. They believe that the people at the top were born with something special, that they had an advantage that made it easier for them. But talent alone means nothing without effort. Hard work and resilience are what separate those who succeed from those who don't. There are plenty of talented people in the world who never achieve anything significant. They rely on their natural abilities, but they don't put in the work. They don't develop discipline. They don't push through discomfort. Meanwhile, someone with less talent but more drive outworks them and surpasses them, because in the real world, effort beats potential every time. Hard work is the foundation of success. It's what allows people to grow, improve, and develop skills that set them apart. But most people don't want to do the work. They want shortcuts. They want easy wins. They want results without struggle. But nothing worth having comes without effort. The people who succeed aren't the ones who take the easy road. They're the ones who embrace the grind. They show up every day and put in the work, even when they don't see immediate results. Resilience is just as important as hard work. Because no matter how talented you are, no matter how much effort you put in, you will face setbacks. You will experience failure. You will encounter obstacles that make you question whether it's even worth it. And this is where most people give up. They hit a roadblock and assume it means they aren't meant for success. They take failure as a sign to quit instead of a lesson to learn from. Resilience is the ability to keep going when things don't go as planned. It's the mindset that says, this is just part of the process. Every challenge, every setback, every failure is an opportunity to grow. The strongest, most successful people aren't the ones who never failed. They're the ones who failed over and over and refused to quit. They took every loss as a lesson. They adjusted. They got better. They used their failures as fuel instead of letting them become excuses. Some of the most successful people in the world started with nothing. They weren't born with special advantages. They didn't have connections, money, or the perfect circumstances. What they had was the willingness to work harder than everyone else. They had the resilience to push through when others would have quit. They understood that success isn't about where you start. It's about how much effort you're willing to put in. Most people underestimate how much work it actually takes to achieve something great. They think success happens overnight. They see someone at the top and assume it was easy for them. What they don't see are the years of grinding, the late nights, the sacrifices, the failures that happen behind the scenes. They don't see the times that person wanted to quit but kept going anyway. There is no substitute for hard work. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not willing to put in the effort, you will never reach your full potential. Hard work is what sharpens skills, builds discipline, and creates opportunities. The harder you work, the more doors open for you. The more resilient you are, the less likely you are to be stopped by obstacles. Success is not given, it is earned. It is built through relentless effort and the refusal to give up. The people who make it aren't the ones who had everything handed to them. They're the ones who were willing to push through the struggles, to do what others wouldn't, to keep going when it was easier to stop. Talent might get you started, but it's hard work and resilience that will take you all the way. Failure is not the end, it's part of the process. Most people fear failure so much that they never even try. They see failure as a final judgment, as proof that they weren't good enough, as a reason to quit. But failure isn't the end. It's feedback. It's a lesson. It's a stepping stone. Every successful person you admire has failed more times than they can count. They didn't get there by avoiding failure. They got there by pushing through it. They saw every setback as a chance to learn. Every mistake as an opportunity to improve. Failure only becomes permanent when you stop. Too many people give up at the first sign of difficulty. They take one rejection, one mistake, one roadblock, and convince themselves that it means they're not capable. But the truth is, failure is necessary. It's how you grow. It's how you build resilience. Every time you fail, you gain experience. You learn, which brings you closer to what does. The greatest success stories in the world are filled with failures. Entrepreneurs who went bankrupt before building billion-dollar businesses. Athletes who lost over and over before becoming champions. Writers who got rejected hundreds of times before publishing a bestseller. The difference between them and everyone else, they didn't let failure stop them. They kept going. They adjusted, they improved, and they used failure as fuel. Most people don't realize that failure is a sign of progress. It means you're trying. It means you're pushing beyond your comfort zone. The only people who never fail are the ones who never take risks, who stay stuck in the same place their entire lives. But if you want to grow, if you want to achieve something great, you have to embrace failure. You have to be willing to fall, get back up, and try again. The real test is not whether you fail, it's how you respond to it. Will you let it define you? Will you let it break you? Or will you use it to become stronger, smarter, and better? Every failure contains a lesson, but it's up to you to find it. Most people focus on the pain of failure and miss the wisdom it offers. They let embarrassment and disappointment cloud their vision, but the ones who succeed are the ones who analyze their failures, learn from them, and use them to come back even stronger. If you change the way you see failure, you change your entire future. Instead of fearing it, expect it. Instead of avoiding it, embrace it. Understand that every failure brings you one step closer to success. The only way to truly fail is to stop trying. The moment you refuse to let failure define you, you become unstoppable. Your mindset shapes your reality. Everything in your life starts in your mind. Your beliefs, your thoughts, and your attitudes create the world you experience. If you believe you can't succeed, you'll never take the action needed to prove yourself wrong. If you see obstacles as permanent barriers, you'll never find solutions. But if you train your mind to see opportunities, to believe in your potential, and to push forward no matter what, you will create a reality that reflects that mindset. Most people don't realize how much their thoughts control their lives. They think their circumstances shape their mindset, but it's the other way around. Two people can face the same challenge. One gives up, the other finds a way through. The difference isn't in the challenge, it's in the mindset. One sees problems, the other sees possibilities. One focuses on why they can't, the other focuses on how they can. Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness. If you fill it with doubt, excuses, and limitations, you will sabotage your own success before you even start. But if you train it to be resilient, to see solutions, to believe in your ability to figure things out, you become unstoppable. The most successful people don't have easier lives. They don't avoid problems. They just refuse to let those problems break them. They condition their minds to stay strong, to keep moving forward no matter what. Your thoughts create your reality because they shape your actions. If you think you're not good enough, you won't put in the effort. If you believe success is out of reach, you won't take the risks necessary to achieve it. But if you decide that you are capable, that you are willing to do whatever it takes, your actions will follow. You will push harder, work smarter, and refuse to quit. The key is to become aware of the thoughts that are holding you back. Most people have a constant loop of negative self-talk running in their minds, and they don't even realize it. They tell themselves they're not smart enough, not talented enough, not lucky enough, and then they wonder why they stay stuck. But the moment you change that inner dialogue, you change everything. Instead of saying, I can't, instead of focusing on what's wrong, focus on what you can control. Your mindset is like a muscle. It gets stronger with training. The more you practice thinking in a way that empowers you, the more natural it becomes. Start paying attention to your thoughts. Challenge the ones that hold you back. Replace them with thoughts that push you forward, because once you master your mind, you master your life. Discipline is the bridge between goals and success. Most people set goals, but very few achieve them. Not because they aren't capable, not because they don't want it badly enough, but because they lack the discipline to follow through. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. It's the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's showing up every day, putting in the effort, and refusing to make excuses. Motivation comes and goes. It's easy to feel inspired in the beginning when everything is fresh and exciting. But what happens when that feeling fades? What happens when things get hard, when progress is slow, when obstacles show up? This is where most people quit. They think success is about working hard when they feel good, but that's not how results are created. Results come from consistency, from pushing forward even when it's tough, from keeping promises to yourself no matter what. Discipline is a choice. It's waking up early when you'd rather sleep in. It's putting in extra work when no one is watching. It's saying no to distractions, no to temptations, no to anything that pulls you away from your vision. The problem is that most people choose comfort over progress. They choose easy over effective. They let their emotions dictate their actions instead of staying committed to their goals. But if you let your emotions control you, you'll never reach your full potential. You don't have to feel like doing something to do it. Successful people understand this. They don't rely on feeling motivated. They train themselves to take action regardless of how they feel. They build habits that keep them on track, habits that make discipline second nature. When you develop discipline, success is inevitable because you're no longer relying on fleeting bursts of motivation. You're relying on a system, a structure, a level of self-mastery that makes quitting impossible. Every time you stay disciplined, you build confidence. Every time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you are capable. Discipline is not punishment, it's freedom. It frees you from regret, from mediocrity, from a life of wondering what could have been. It's the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. Your only competition is the person in the mirror. Too many people waste energy comparing themselves to others. They look at what someone else has, what someone else has achieved, and they start to feel like they're falling behind. But the truth is, the only person you should be competing with is the person you were yesterday. Success isn't about being better than someone else. It's about being better than you used to be. Comparison is a distraction. It takes your focus away from your own progress and places it on someone else's journey. You don't know what they've been through, what sacrifices they've made, what challenges they've overcome. You're seeing their highlight reel, not the struggles behind the scenes. And every moment you spend comparing yourself is a moment you're not working on improving yourself. The only thing that matters is your own growth. Are you stronger, wiser, more disciplined than you were last month? Are you pushing yourself, improving your skills, becoming the best version of yourself? If the answer is yes, then you're winning. If the answer is no, then it's time to refocus. Because real success is built by those who stay in their own lane, who keep their eyes on their own goals, who refuse to be distracted by what others are doing. Self-improvement is the real competition. Every day you have a choice to stay the same or to take one step closer to your potential. The people who succeed are not the ones who obsess over others. They're the ones who look in the mirror and ask, how can I be better today? They track their own progress. They challenge their own limits. They compete with themselves relentlessly. When you stop worrying about where others are and start focusing on your own path, everything changes. You free yourself from self-doubt. You stop feeling like you're behind. You start embracing your unique journey, knowing that as long as you are growing, you are on the right track. Every great success story starts with doubt. Every legend was once underestimated. The only question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to let their opinions break you, or will you use them to build yourself into something unstoppable? You've learned today that no one is coming to save you, that hard work and resilience will always beat talent, that failure is part of the process, and your mindset shapes your reality. You now understand that discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality, and your only true competition is the person in the mirror. So now the choice is yours. You can go back to the same life, the same habits, the same excuses, or you can take what you've learned, stand up, and take action. You can rewrite your story starting today. The road ahead won't be easy, but nothing worth having ever is. The real question is, are you willing to do what it takes? Because if you are, the world better be ready. You have everything you need inside you, the power, the discipline, the fire. It's all there. But the question is, are you willing to use it? Are you willing to step up and do what it takes, even when no one's watching, even when no one believes in you? Because at the end of the day, it's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Stop comparing, stop waiting, stop making excuses. Be better than you were yesterday. Be stronger than your past. Now get out there and